So it seems the Xbox news just doesn't seem to stop. It is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of content creation, but news is coming both good, bad, undecided. The community has never been more split, in my opinion, but we do have a lot to actually get through today, and in all honesty, the whole doom and gloom on Xbox is starting to get a little old. I know the publications and the websites and the social media responses are all over the place, one in Phil's head, but in my opinion, Xbox is set to have a great 2024. Now there are going to be a few hiccups here and some kind of, journey to find out what it is that they actually want to achieve, because at the moment it looks like they're throwing everything at the kitchen sink at the wall and trying to see what sticks in order to try and push ahead from third place. Or maybe they're just not interested in that. That's the problem, finding out exactly what it is they want. Now I know people are going to say, well, they're no longer looking at the whole console race and this, yet they keep saying that the console is the paramount focus for them. And so the mixed messaging that's coming from Camp Xbox is part of the problem as to why we're in this in the first place. But if you are enjoying the content and you do want to support me, I'm Chaos Prime. Feel free to leave a like. We are trying to hit that 300 likes. Do hit that subscribe button. I am trying to get to 7,000 subs. Every 1,000 subs milestone, we will be doing a giveaway. So let's make that happen and get you some cool stuff. Finally, thank you to all my members who continue to support me and allow me to continue making this awesome content. Don't forget you can catch me on Tuesdays and Thursdays for podcast streams, and of course on Wednesdays for gameplay streams. So let's start with the first one. The showcase for June is well underway, and it looks like the recordings and the information and the trailers have already started to collate at Camp Xbox. We see here a picture of Sarah Bond already recording, so it looks like that production is underway and should be ready for us in June. Good stuff. I wonder what they're going to show us. What do you want to see at that presentation? What do you want to see at the show? Because there's a lot of good games coming. I hope we're not just going to see what's coming this year, although I would like to see all of the stuff coming this year to be shown, but I'd like to see what's coming next year as well, and potentially what's happening with Blade. Maybe they've got some gameplay finally on that. Maybe also have a look at the handheld. That would be really, really cool. She did say that there's going to be a generational leap, and obviously everyone is now pretty convinced that that is going to be the handheld. We've already had leaks of the digital console, so I suspect that will also be revealed in June, potentially shadow dropped, available that pretty much after the showcase globally. So I don't see that actually waiting any longer than that, but interesting times nonetheless. Of course, next up we have what you see on screen right now, and that is the fact that a game, Xbox games that have gone to PS5, they haven't really set the world on fire, says True Trophies. They've actually done pretty badly, and if we're looking at some of the stats, we've got Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment see weak debuts on PS5. Pentiment didn't make it to the top 200 of most popular titles, whereas Hi-Fi Rush made it to 124th spot. Not great. Now, True Trophies obviously isn't the best metric to go up against, because you kind of need people to register on that, if my understanding is correct. But at the same time, it is a metric, and until we actually get actual sales numbers, maybe Sony this time will actually provide some sales numbers, because we know Microsoft never will. It'll be interesting to see how well these games did, but on first glance, it does seem that they just aren't doing very well, and people aren't very happy because these 4 games have caused a lot of discourse, and people are now wondering, was it actually worth it? Was it worth porting these games over and completely splitting the community and sending at least 2 or 3 people off the deep end to the point where there's really no recovering from that sort of trauma? Time will tell. Time will tell. But we do have a little bit of news for Avowed. Now, This is obviously a rumor, and it is coming from, I'm actually not sure where this is coming from, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. And if it is true, and that's a big if, like we're talking big if, that could be pretty sad, because apparently Avowed, which is aiming for the end of the year, could be pushed to the first quarter of 2025. Now obviously if the game needs extra time, then it should get the extra time. There's no reason to release the game if it's not complete, if it's not ready. No one wants another Cyberpunk, no one wants another Anthem, no one wants another Redfall. I mean, don't get me wrong, all of them turned out to be great 6 months to a year later. But, yes, including Anthem. But it's the launch that matters. The launch is everything. And if the launch is bad, it pretty much kills the game entirely. Cyberpunk could have done so much better. Redfall could have done so much better. Anthem could have done so much better. And more games of that, ilk could have done way better if they launched in a much better state. So if they need more time with Avowed, take it. But it does mean that we do lose another big game for 2024 that should be coming this year to 2025. And hopefully there's something else that they can replace that with at the end of the year. So that would hopefully be something we can see in the showcase that's coming in June. Or at least find out more about it in June, whether this delay is real or not. But I suspect it won't be till September time before we find out if this rumor is going to be true. Now, there's an article that's been going around. You must have all seen it by now. I mean, it's impossible not to. It's been, a lot of people have been posting this article around. Phil Spencer, long cast as Xbox's savior, may be remembered as the man who killed it. Now, there's a lot of things here in this article. I'm going to have a link to it in the description below. It's a good article. There's some home truths here. Some of it a little harsh, in my opinion. But it basically outlines, Phil's 10-year tenure as Xbox CEO, what he's achieved, which outside of Game Pass and the acquisitions of Bethesda and, ZeniMax and ABK, really isn't much. And when it boils down to, was there other ways in which this could have actually gone? And they talk about this in some detail, where they say instead of spending 70 billion on ABK, they could have money hatted around 230 games with that, third-party games that could have been Xbox exclusive. Or maybe all of this could have turned around. I mean, there's multiple different things that they could have done. But it's a good read. I wouldn't take too much stock into it, because it's clearly aimed at being provocative. But there are a few bits here and there in there that actually make sense. And hopefully, from what I've got from this, Phil Spencer is looking at ways to try and turn the ship around, and he's trying to make sure that Xbox is in a good position for the end of this generation into the next. So in my opinion, this isn't a bad thing. 2024 is a great year for Xbox, and if that continues and they finish this generation on a high momentum like they're hoping they will, and I hope they will, the next generation Xbox should get the start that it actually needs to propel itself, and definitely away from third place, because at the end of the day, the reality is next generation consoles are coming. Now, Xbox is supposed to bring theirs in 2026, and that's going to give them some advantage in terms of graphical fidelity, performance, everything else. So in theory, that should entice people to come over. Now, what's going to be interesting is in 2 years after that time, 2028, when Sony decides to release their console, will Microsoft release a mid-gen refresh to compete with the PS6? Is the notion of having the most powerful console important to Microsoft? That is the key, because if it is, a mid-gen refresh will probably be needed in order to maintain that, that title. But time will tell. That's way too early. Now, for those of you that have been looking forward to DokeV, a couple years ago a trailer was dropped. It looked really impressive, really cool. Everyone was looking forward to it. Well, we finally have some information for it, because they went radio silent for quite some time. And one of the developers have said DokeV isn't happening until after Crimson Desert. That's Pearl Abyss's next game. And they say, so don't expect DokeV until after 26-27, I used to work for Pearl Abyss, and Crimson Desert won't even release this year. They just recently dedicated an entire team to it. Now obviously, like I said, this was a dev. They've no longer work there, so things could have changed. Outsourcing could have happened. They could have brought in more people to try and ramp up production and try and speed up development. So anything can change, but that's the only information we have right now for DokeV. I mean, it looks great if you're looking at it on screen, and honestly, I'm really looking forward to this, and hopefully it turns out to be a good game. But it is so far away. We're looking, 2, 3, maybe 4 years away. It's not really worth really keeping an eye on, at least in the short term. Finally, we have another PlayStation game coming to PS5 and PC. The rumored Uncharted collection is getting remastered, because why not? They need first-party games, and doing an Uncharted Nathan Drake collection remaster is probably going to be the one that they go with. I mean, they've got the Legacy Edition, they've released a collection of sorts already, but having the entire Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which wouldn't include the Legacy version of the game, well, this is just another way for them to double dip and make money. People are saying, why not make it a remake instead, actually make it worthwhile rather than a remaster, because, all they're going to do with a remaster essentially is just up the textures to make it 4K, run everything in 60 FPS, and happy days at the best possible quality. And maybe for some people that is enough, but if you're asking people to buy the same game again and again and again and again, there should be at least some real distinctive quality difference, and hopefully they'll do that, but I'm not holding my breath. And folks, that's it. That's the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one. Remain legend.